Hi there, this is Sally's Book Talk. Tune in daily as we explore the world's greatest books just for you. Today we're discussing the ancient Chinese classic Han Feizi. You might not have read it, but you definitely know these idioms. Waiting for rabbits by a tree stump, contradicting oneself, filling numbers with inferior substitutes, and showy without substance. That's right. These everyday phrases still used today all come from Han Feizi. Classics shape our language and thinking, so familiar we use them unconsciously. In this sense, Han Feizi truly deserves its classic status. The author Han Fei lived during the Warring States period. As you know, the spring and autumn period saw many philosophical schools emerge, known as the Hundred Schools of Thought. Han Fei represented the legalist school. Moreover, he synthesized legalist philosophy, earning him the honorific Han Feizi. In ancient times, adding Z to names showed respect for important figures like Confucius, Kongzi, and Mencius. This honorific became standard. The text compiles Han Fei's core works plus later compatible essays. 55 chapters total, capturing legalist essence. Key chapters like The Way of Ruler, Beloved Ministers, and Five Vermin exemplify Han Fei's political theories. These famous texts discuss statecraft while refuting Confucian and Maoist ideas. Chapters like Forest of Persuasions compile historical parables for reference. Throughout history, emperors studied and applied Han Fei's theories. Reformers consistently drew from Han Fei's ideas when crafting policies. Thus, we call Han Fei the chief architect of 2 millennia of imperial rule. Even modern thinkers value his work. Liang Qichao and Lu Xun both praised Han Feizi's cultural significance. Interestingly, Han Fei's followers rarely admit his influence. They claim Confucian allegiance while disguising legalist practices. This makes Han Feizi remarkably enigmatic. It's like a martial arts manual. People secretly study and apply it with great success, but keep tight-lipped about its methods. Now let's unveil this mysterious manual. Though written over 2 millennia ago, Han Feizi remains impactful due to Han Fei's literary style and erudition. First, Han Fei excelled at using parables and vivid case studies to illustrate his arguments. Second, legalists opposed Confucianism. Thus, Han Fei frequently targeted Confucians with sharp satire, delivering refreshingly blunt critiques. Lastly, Han Fei incorporated Taoist ideas, even interpreting Laozi through legalist lenses in essays like Explaining Lao and Illustrating Lao. Given the text's richness, we'll focus on 3 core questions. 1. What historical context shaped Han Fei? 2. What governance philosophy does Han Feizi advocate? 3. What political legacy did it leave? We'll examine these questions systematically. Understanding Han Feizi requires understanding its author. First, the era that shaped Han Fei. Simply put, an age of chaos. In 771 BCE, King Yu's assassination ended Western Zhao, beginning Eastern Zhao's spring and autumn period. After 350-plus years of warfare among states, the Warring States period emerged. Hundreds of states consolidated into 7 major powers: Qin, Shu, Zhao, Wei, Han, Qi, and Yan, plus minor states. These 7 heroes engaged in fiercer competition than before. Strong states sought unification, weak ones struggled for survival. The crucial question: how to achieve strength in this deadly game? Confucianism, Maoism, and legalism all proposed governance theories, creating the 100 schools of thought contention. Confucians advocated benevolent rule through virtue, employing wise officials and practicing kindness to unify the realm. Mohists promoted universal love and non-aggression, opposing annexation wars for lasting peace. Legalists differed fundamentally. Legalists championed authoritarian rule through strict laws to control subjects and strengthen states. Their wartime effectiveness made legalism most appealing to rulers among competing philosophies, because it delivered rapid, tangible results. Thus, warring states' rulers extensively employed legalist reformers. Li Kui and Wei, Wu Qi and Chu Shenbuhai and Han, and Zuji and Qi all implemented legalist reforms. But incomplete implementation limited these states' lasting power. Qin's reforms proved most radical. Under Duke Xiao, Xianyang's reforms became Qin's enduring foundation through successive rulers. By Han Fei's time, Qin dominated the seven states, its unification momentum unstoppable. The records show Han Fei, a Korean prince with speech impediment but literary genius, lived during Qin's ascendancy. As royalty, Han Fei agonized over Qin's threat to his homeland. Ironically, Han Fei felt greater peril than citizens of Zhao, Chu, or Qi. Why? Geographically, Han would be Qin's first conquest target. Sandwiched between Wei, Chu, and Qin, Han's strategic position doomed its survival. As smallest among seven states, Han's territory trailed even Yan's. Submitting to Qin bought temporary safety through tribute and compliance. But Qin's eastward expansion through Hanggu Pass made Han's destruction inevitable, the gateway to conquering Wei and Chu. With Han's weak defenses, how could Qin possibly spare them? More fatally, Han's internal chaos, complacent rulers and corrupt officials, created political rot. Han Fei fumed, seeing earlier reforms vanish like mist, realizing legalism powered Qin's rise. Han's survival demanded radical transformation. Thus young Han Fei studied under Xunzi. But Xunzi was Confucian. Why choose him for statecraft studies? What led him to this Confucian master? Though Confucian, Xunzi differed from Confucius and Mencius. Xunzi synthesized various philosophies, Confucianism, Taoism, legalism, Mohism, into his unique system. Han Fei learned statecraft from Xunzi, particularly legalist-style rulership techniques. This foundation made Han Fei legalism's ultimate synthesizer. Han Fei's studies aimed singularly at saving Han. Returning home, he wrote reform essays, over 100,000 characters urging Han's ruler to act. These writings form the core of Han Feizi we know today. His urgent prose reflected national crisis anxiety. Lushan described Han Feizi's style as severely urgent, like strong medicine demanding immediate action. This assessment captures Han Fei's desperate tone as his homeland teetered. Ironically, while ignored in Han, his works impressed Qin's King Zheng, future first emperor. Zheng exclaimed, "Meeting Han Fei would make death meaningless." Following Li Si's advice, Qin invaded Han to capture Han Fei. One might think Zhang achieved his wish, but shockingly, before being utilized, Han Fei was jailed and poisoned by Li Si's order. Thus died a great thinker, mysteriously eliminated in political machinations. It truly caused this tragedy. Historical records indicate King Zheng ordered Han Fei's imprisonment, but why? Upon arriving in Qin, Han Fei submitted, preserving Han, directly contradicting Qin's expansion plans. Qin's primary target was Han. This was common knowledge. Han Fei's loyalty to his homeland clashed with Qin's imperial ambitions. This made King Zheng question Han Fei's reliability. Initially, the king only confined Han Fei following Li Si's advice. While Zhang deliberated, Li Si exploited the delay to eliminate his rival. Why would Li Si commit murder? Officially, he claimed to protect Qin's strategic interests. But personal motives existed. Both studied under Xunzi, and Li Si feared being overshadowed. Li Si admitted Han Fei's superior intellect, fearing replacement. Thus, he eliminated the threat. Though dead, Han Fei's legacy survived through his writings. Disciples compiled his works into Han Feizi. This text became legalism's definitive political treatise. Its influence shaped 2 millennia of imperial rule. All major Chinese reformers were essentially Han Fei's intellectual heirs. Now we examine Han Fei's core governance philosophy. In essence, absolute monarchical authority. Han Fei warned, overly intimate ministers endanger rulers. Overly powerful subjects usurp thrones. Translation: kindness breeds weakness. Powerful ministers threaten stability. Chaotic states cannot achieve prosperity or military strength. Solution: centralize absolute power with the ruler. This philosophy stemmed from Zhou dynasty's failed feudal system analysis. Under Zhou's hierarchy, emperors delegated power to nobles. a system Han Fei deemed unstable. In this hierarchy, nobles governed their territories but owed obligations to their rulers. The feudal system required lords to manage states while obeying the Zhou emperor's authority. Modern descriptions of feudal autocracy oversimplify ancient Chinese governance structures. Actually, feudalism and autocracy represent distinct systems. True feudalism meant shared power, emperors with nobles, nobles with officials, contradicting autocratic centralization. Autocracy concentrates all power with the ruler, opposing decentralization. Let's continue our analysis. The feudal system initially functioned smoothly. After Western Zhou's decline, imperial authority collapsed as states became autonomous. Within states, rulers faced constant challenges from powerful ministers. Han Fei vividly demonstrated this through the partition of Jin case. Jin was once dominant under Duke Wen, a spring and autumn hegemon. Later, 6 ministerial clans controlled real power, neglecting state interests. The Zhao, Wei, and Han clans eventually partitioned Jin into 3 states. Han Fei saw this as proof. Powerless rulers enable ministerial abuse and state collapse. Another example Han Fei cited, the Tian clan's takeover of Qi state. Founded by Zhang Zia, Qi peaked under Duke Huan and Guanzhong's reforms. The Tian clan gradually usurped power from Qi's rulers. Finally, Tian He expelled Duke Kang and secured Zhou recognition as legitimate ruler. The Jin and Qi cases weren't isolated during the Warring States period. All states faced similar challenges. Even those not yet collapsing suffered ruler-minister tensions, hampering external affairs. Even Qin, with its centralized power, experienced crises. Years before Han Fei's arrival, Qin endured the Laowai rebellion. Lu Buwei's associate Lao Ai exploited the Queen Dowager's favor to rebel, leading to brutal suppression. Lu Buwei's eventual execution stemmed from King Zheng's fear of his power. From these bloody lessons, Han Fei concluded, ministers' growth means rulers' decline. Modern translation. Expanding ministerial power shrinks imperial authority. Thus, rulers must simultaneously utilize and constrain ministers. How should rulers control ministers? Han Fei's trinity: law, fa, technique, shu, authority. First, Shi, positional authority and power. Concept originated from Shen Dao, early legalist thinker. Shen argued, rulers command obedience through inherent status, not merit. He challenged, would anyone follow Yao and Shun as commoners? Their governance succeeded through positional power, not virtue. This directly contradicted Confucian merit-based rulership ideals. Confucians believed only virtuous sages deserved power. Han Fei maintained rulers governed through status, not qualifications. How one attained power became irrelevant in legalist doctrine. Thus, legalists viewed autocracy as natural. Power follows position, but rulers must remain vigilant. Minister-ruler dynamics constantly shift. Complacency allows ministerial power inversion. Rulers becoming puppets. From ruler controlling ministers to ministers controlling rulers. The partition of Jin and Tian clans' takeover exemplify this reversal. Thus, rulers must maintain absolute positional superiority. How to achieve this? Through laws and regulations. Han Fei advocated detailed legal codes guiding behavior to serve state interests. Rule by law. This philosophy originated from Sheng Yang, Han Fei's ideological predecessor. Sheng Yang, 395–338 BCE, conducted landmark reforms in Qin a century earlier. Under Duke Shao, he initiated reforms in 356 BCE, with follow-up in 350 BCE. His edicts, compiled in the Book of Lord Shang, featured 2 key policies. 1. Abolishing hereditary aristocracy. 2. Implementing merit-based military ranks. The hereditary system allowed nobles to inherit lands and titles, feudal tradition. Multi-generational privilege created independent power bases, threatening rulers. Both Confucians and legalists sought centralization through different methods. Confucians wanted feudal restoration through hierarchical propriety. Sheng Yang countered with land privatization and direct taxation, eliminating ministerial landholdings. concurrently establishing military meritocracy. What's military merit ranking? Simple. Earn titles through battlefield achievements, not birthright. Rank proportional to military contributions. Revolutionary social mobility. Nobles could no longer inherit status. Everyone proved worth through combat. These reforms made Qin dominant, earning Han Fei's deep admiration. Han Fei observed, after Sheng Yang's reforms, Qin citizens toiled tirelessly in peace and fought fearlessly in war, never resting from labor, never retreating from danger. Why did law produce such magical effects? Han Fei identified law's dual mechanisms: rewards and punishments. Human nature seeks profit and avoids harm. Laws must leverage this principle. Specifically, legislate rewards for ruler benefiting behaviors, legislate punishments for ruler harming behaviors. Natural fear of death makes soldiers retreat. But can law punish deserters, families, and neighbors through collective responsibility? Conversely, military valor earned noble ranks, elevating entire families. Human instinct favors protecting relatives from prosecution. Kin law criminalized concealing relatives' offenses, even between parent-child or spouses. Whistleblowing received legal incentives instead. Han Fei concluded, how do wise rulers legislate? Structure desires to motivate achievement through ranks and riches. Structure fears to deter misconduct through severe penalties. For maximum effectiveness, laws should be exhaustively detailed and publicly accessible. Clear legal compliance becomes habitual. Generous rewards make compliance attractive. Harsh punishments create universal deterrence. Severe laws and strict punishments. Thus, legalism establishes fundamental order. But why isn't law sufficient for rulers? Because laws inevitably have loopholes. Han Fei illustrated with Wei Ron's case, Qin's chancellor who defeated Wei and Shu. In 266 BCE, Wei Ron allied with Han, Zhao, Wei, and Yan to defeat Qi, seizing its economic hub, Tao County. Superficially, these rewards legally recognized his achievements. But in reality, Wei's personal power threatened the Qin king's authority. Why did this happen? Han Fei argued the king understood law, but not Shu, the art of statecraft. Shen Buhai first systematized Shu in legalist philosophy, appointed Korean chancellor in 351 BCE. Shan implemented reforms through statecraft. Unlike Sheng Yang's legal codes, Shen focused on ministerial surveillance and control methods. Shen's techniques strengthened royal authority for 15 conflict-free years. Han Fei inherited and refined these statecraft principles. He advocated combining law with Shu to secure absolute power. How to implement Shu? Han Fei outlined key strategies. First, verify words through actions. Ministers' proposals must align with execution results benefiting the ruler. Second, distinguish petty loyalty from grand loyalty. What's petty loyalty? Serving personal interests versus serving imperial interests. Han Fei cited Duke Jing's late reign. Heavy taxes bred public resentment. The Tian clan exploited famines by lending grain with forgiving repayment terms. The policy maintained for 4 generations to cultivate popular support. Thus, when Tian usurped power, no resistance emerged. Third, monitor ministers' personal power cultivation. The high-ranking ministers shouldn't collect taxes directly from commercial hubs, nor maintain private militaries despite having numerous associates. The 4 lords of warring states, Xinling, Ping Yuan, Chun Shen, and Meng Chang, exemplified dangerous personal power accumulation. Though contributing to state affairs and anti-Qin alliances, their actions weakened monarchical authority, according to Han Fei. Thus, 6 states ultimately failed against Qin despite these efforts. Shu's mechanisms mirror law's reward-punishment dynamics. Reward true loyalty to the throne. Punish self-serving ministers disguised as loyalists. How does Shu differ from FA? Han Fei explained, law is codified and public. Shu remains hidden in ruler's mind to secretly control ministers. Thus, legal actions must follow published codes, while Shu operates covertly to maintain ruler's mystique. Public rewards and punishments require legal consistency. Shu's secret application makes rulers seem omniscient and fearsome. Both Fa and Shu are essential governing tools. Han Fei criticized Xiangyang's exclusive legal focus, enabling ministers like Wei Ran. Conversely, Shen Buhai's Shu only approach bred legal inconsistencies. Thus, Han Fei declared, Fa and Shu are inseparable imperial instruments. Law centralizes power. Shu ensures its retention through any circumstance. This dual mechanism became Imperial China's governing paradigm. We've introduced Han Fei's three governing pillars, Fa, Shu, and Shi. With these, rulers can exercise autocratic control. Let's recap. Han Fei lived through the Warring States' chaos, believing only autocratic rule could save states from collapse. The triple mechanisms became monarchs' essential governance tools. But do these guarantees absolute security for rulers? What were Han Fei's perspectives on this? How did his theories influence later dynasties? Join us in the next episode of Han Feizi series for deeper exploration. This concludes the first half of Han Feizi analysis. Detailed notes below. See you next time.